Welcome to the deep dive, and thank you for sending us this incredible stack of sources.
A fascinating collection.
It really is. We're doing a deep dive today into the underlying principles of strategic interaction.
Basically, the hidden playbook.
Exactly. The one used by historical figures to secure power, clients, and, sometimes just pure survival. This is all about how to make yourself untouchable.
That's right. The mission here is to pull out some actionable, if occasionally chilling, nuggets of knowledge.
And these are from figures all over the map: ancient kings, Chinese emperors, even 20th century art dealers.
And they all focus on how to control three critical things: information, relationships, and perception. The real takeaway here is that success often means moving past what feels, comfortable or fair.
And toward what is purely effective. So we'll unpack the ultimate power dynamics, everything from secret spying tactics to the calculated ruthlessness you need for total victory.
It's a journey from acquiring hard power through knowledge to maintaining soft power through perception.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the incredible value of knowing what your enemies or even your potential friends are actually planning.
The foundation of any good strategy is foreknowledge. I mean, if you know more about the person across the table than they know about you, you've already won.
So the idea is simple. You gather critical intelligence weaknesses, intentions, motives,
Without ever revealing your true purpose. We could call it posing as a friend, working as a spy.
The sources have so many examples, but the one that just jumps out is Joseph Duveen, the art dealer.
The greatest of his time, really. He perfected this for personal and financial gain.
And he was determined to make this industrialist, Andrew Mellon, a client.
A very tough nut to crack. Mellon openly disliked Duveen, refused to even meet him.
So what Duveen did is just fascinating. It wasn't about a quick trick. It was about sheer dedication.
He didn't just force a meeting. He spent years in deep behavioral profiling. He tracked Mellon across continents, learning his exact habits, his tastes.
And how did he do that?
He secretly put several of Mellon's household staff on his own payroll. Valets, chauffeurs,
Wow.
to worm valuable information out of them.
So it wasn't just bribery. It was like he was building a 360-degree surveillance system.
Precisely. By the time he made his move, he knew everything. Mellon's favorite artists, his travel schedule, maybe his deepest anxieties.
Probably better than Mellon's own wife did.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And all this knowledge allowed him to orchestrate that legendary, uncanny chance encounter.
The one at Claridge's Hotel in London.
That's the one. Duveen booked a suite right below Mellon's, coordinated with the valets for the timing,
Yeah.
and then just stepped into the lift at the exact same moment.
An accidental meeting that was anything but.
He introduced himself so casually, said he was just on his way to the National Gallery to look at some pictures, which, of course, was exactly where Mellon was headed.
A fact Duveen already knew.
And because he knew Mellon's taste inside and out, he was able to just dazzle him. They walked through the museum, and Duveen sounded like a kindred spirit with the exact same exquisite taste.
Mellon was completely disarmed. He thought he'd found a friend, not the pushy dealer he was expecting.
He saw a shared affinity, not months of spying. And that one moment, that perfect moment, made Mellon his best client for life.
It just shows the immense power of artful spying. It makes you seem charming, almost psychic.
Because you can anticipate what someone wants before they do.
Right.
And what people can't see, they can't fight.
Which brings us to more advanced probing tactics, moving beyond paid spies to conversational espionage.
Right. Gathering info isn't always about secret payoffs. Sometimes it's about getting people to reveal themselves.
Look at the French politician Talleyrand.
A master. He was seen as this superb conversationalist who somehow said very little about himself.
His genius was suppressing his own personality. He'd get foreign diplomats to just talk and talk.
And they'd inadvertently reveal secrets, plans, all in what felt like a polite conversation. He turned diplomacy into a kind of interrogation just by being a great listener.
And sometimes he didn't just listen, he provoked. The sources say he would just blurt out a completely made-up secret.
Yes, like claiming the Tsar was about to arrest his top general.
The quote is perfect. Monsieur Talleyrand fires a pistol into the air to see who will jump out the window.
It's intelligence gathering through reaction testing.
Huh.
He just watched who panicked, whose face changed. He could instantly see which governments had hidden agendas.
The reaction was the secret.
Exactly. And this goes way back. King Khosroes II, 7th century Persia, he tested loyalty by telling a courtier a secret.
What was the secret?
He'd say, your trusted friend is actually a traitor, and I'm going to have him killed soon. And then he'd swear the courtier to absolute secrecy.
That's brutal.
It is. Then he'd just watch them. If the courtier warned his friend, well, he was disloyal. Or at least couldn't keep a secret. That little test revealed a person's true character.
Which is the most valuable knowledge of all. So we've got gathering info covered. But what about defense? How do you create a bodyguard of lies, as Churchill put it?
This is where disinformation becomes a weapon. The sources mention using selective honesty to disarm people, a sort of Trojan horse.
But the ultimate defense is misdirection.
And the stakes become life or death. Look at the V-1 rocket attacks on London in 1944. Devastating bombs, but
they kept
consistently missing their targets. Tower Bridge, Piccadilly. They were landing in suburbs, in the countryside.
What?
It was a masterpiece of strategic defense. The Germans were relying on secret agents in England. Agents who had been discovered and turned by the English.
Double agents.
Double agents. And they were feeding the Nazis subtly deceptive information, just slightly off. They'd report a bomb landed here when it really landed, a mile further south.
So the Germans kept correcting their aim based on faulty data.
And the bombs landed farther and farther from the city center. Eventually, the source says, they were landing on cows in the country.
That's incredible. Disinformation literally put out one of the enemy's eyes.
It's the highest form of defense. You're not just surviving the attack. You're using their own intelligence against them.
That idea of controlling perception leads us right into our next concept. Controlling your presence, your availability.
Yes. The strategic law here is all about creating value through scarcity. Too much circulation, the warning goes, makes the price go down.
So once you're established,
you withdraw. A temporary withdrawal increases respect, admiration. It creates a vacuum.
You see this play out in romance all the time. The medieval troubadour, Sir Guillaume de Boulogne, he engineered a fake quarrel with Lady Guillerma.
Just so he could experience the bliss of reconciliation.
He feigned anger, left the castle, hoping to, make her miss him.
And at first it worked perfectly. His absence inflamed her love, and she actually pursued him, which was almost unheard of for a noble woman.
But here's the twist.
Her forwardness made him love her less.
She became too present, too accessible. Her pursuit killed the mystery.
There's a great line in the source material. Love never dies of starvation, but often of indigestion.
So true. And only when she finally gave up and withdrew herself did he feel that desire again.
But the ultimate example of this has to be the Diocese of Medea.
Right. The region was in chaos after escaping Assyrian rule, and Diocese builds this amazing reputation as an incorruptible judge. He helps everyone.
He was excellent. Too excellent. People started taking him for granted. So at the peak of his influence, he just retires.
He says he has to tend to his own affairs, and the country immediately collapses back into lawlessness.
It's strategic genius. He created a vacuum that only he could fill.
The Medes came begging him to come back, not as a judge, but as their king.
And he accepts, but on one critical condition: total inaccessibility. He gets a palace, bodyguards, and no one from the public can see him.
This withdrawal transformed him. He went from a respected judge to a king whose respect gradually turned into a form of worship.
His absence made him seem like a being of a different order from mere men. He created a psychological need for himself.
Which leads us right to indispensability. Law 11, learn to keep people dependent on you.
The ultimate freedom is actually reverse independence. Others' need for you frees you.
And the sources warn about the danger of being powerful but replaceable, like the condottieri, the mercenary soldiers in Renaissance Italy.
Men like the Count of Carbagnola. He was beheaded by Venice, not because he failed, but because he was expensive, powerful, and
replaceable
by a younger, cheaper mercenary. Once you've given them your skill and they think they can get it elsewhere, your power is gone.
Otto von Bismarck, on the other hand, was the master of engineering dependency.
He didn't line himself with the strongest leaders. He allied himself with the King of Prussia, Frederick William IV, who was indecisive and weak.
Bismarck became the king's strength, his intelligence, his spine.
And when a new king, William, took the throne, he hated Bismarck, but he couldn't govern without him.
Bismarck had made himself the architect of state power. So whenever he threatened to resign over some policy,
he did, often.
The king, despite hating him, always gave in. He was terrified the whole thing would collapse without Bismarck.
But the most audacious example has to be Louis XI, the Spider King, and his court astrologer.
This story is unbelievable.
The astrologer correctly predicts a lady's death. Louis gets scared of the man's power and decides to have him killed, thrown out a high window.
But first he asks in one last, taunting question. What will your fate be?
And the astrologer gives the perfect answer. I shall die just 3 days before your majesty.
The king's signal to the girths was never given.
Instantly canceled.
Yeah.
Louis not only protected the astrologer, but showered him with gifts and medical care for the rest of his life. He made his own survival dependent on the astrologers.
That's the ultimate untouchable position. Okay, so we've covered info and indispensability. Now let's talk about managing relationships and rivals.
We have to start with Law 10, avoid infection. The sources are so clear on this. Emotional states, misfortune, layers, they're contagious.
Don't try to help the incurably unhappy or you'll be dragged down with them.
You can effectively die from someone else's misery. And the classic example is the dancer Lola Montez.
Magnetic attracted powerful men, but she was a chaos agent.
A disaster vector. Take the newspaper owner Alexandre Dujorier. He risked everything to marry her, and his life just slid downhill. He was shot and killed in a duel that Lola started over nothing.
And it wasn't just individuals.
No, it spread to politics. King Ludwig of Bavaria became bewitched by her. But her meddling, her violent behavior, slashing people with a riding crop, it led to riots, civil war, and forced the king to abdicate.
The key warning here is that these types, the infectors, they often present themselves as victims.
Always. You have to judge them on the effects they have. A turbulent past, a trail of broken relationships. Flee their presence. Do not take pity.
But the flip side is also true, right? Positive osmosis.
Absolutely. Associating with the fortunate, Napoleon, described as a peasant from Corsica, taciturn and ungracious, envied the charm of his minister, Talleyrand.
He kept him close, not just for his political skill,
but hoping to soak up the culture he lacked. He was using proximity to polish his own presence to elevate himself.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most brutal law, crush the enemy. Totally.
Yeah. Law 15. If one ember is left alight, a fire will eventually break out. No half measures.
This is illustrated perfectly by the rivalry between the warrior Xiang Yu and the peasant Lu Peng.
Xiang Yu is the superior warrior. He had Lu Peng in his grasp several times. At a banquet, he could have had him killed, but he hesitated.
Out of respect for a former friend.
A fatal error. His advisor, Fan Thang, warned him, crush him now. If you let him go again, you will be sorry. He compared it to rearing a tiger.
And when the tables turned,
Lu Peng had no such hesitation. He lured Xiang into a false treaty, relaxed his defenses, and then just slaughtered his army. Xiang Yu was forced to commit suicide.
The warrior was undone by misplaced respect. The strategist won through total decisiveness.
And for just chillingly effective ruthlessness, you have Empress Wu.
Her ambition was blocked, so she just removed the obstacles.
In the most extreme ways. The sources say she smothered her own newborn baby and framed the empress, leading to the empress's execution.
Just to underline that, she committed the most extreme act imaginable to remove a rival.
And then poisoned one son, exiled the next, to make sure the weakest one took the throne, so she could rule from behind the scenes. Her strategy of total annihilation meant there was no one left to challenge Wu.
It led to one of the longest reigns in Chinese history.
And it comes right back to Machiavelli. He understood reconciliation with serious rivals is impossible. His conclusion was that men must either be caressed or else annihilated.
They'll revenge themselves for small injuries, but they can't for great ones.
That's the cold, hard logic of it. Total victory ensures permanent peace for the victor, anyway.
We've covered so much today, from turning a chance meeting into an intelligence coup, to manipulating your own availability, and finally, crushing rivals totally.
And remember, these principles show that power isn't always about raw force. It's about manipulating perception, controlling knowledge, and creating necessity. The goal is to completely control the people around you.
Thinking about Duveen and Xiang Yu, Duveen used total knowledge to get total control, but Xiang Yu, who had superior military power, lacked that final total decisiveness and was destroyed. A perfect contrast.
It raises an important question for you, the learner. Does gaining that third eye of detailed knowledge actually make it easier, or does it make it harder to exercise the cold, necessary ruthlessness that's required for total victory? Something to consider as you apply these lessons to your own world.